The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of this station, its management, sponsors, or other hosts. If you have any comments or suggestions about this program, please contact us at radio@usaebn.org. That's radio@usaebn.org.
Welcome to a new Zeta report here on USA Emergency Broadcasting Network. We are live first Mondays of every month. My name is Andre. I'm with USA EBN, and I'm joined on these first Mondays for the Zeta report with Nancy Leader from Zeta Talk. Nancy, how are you?
I'm here, and we're going to have a fun hour. We're going to talk about UFO history today, as though there were any doubt. But it's quite interesting when you hear the history around the world, over the decades, etc., all fact-based, all in the media. You know, this is not woo-woo, somebody said. And it's all because, the reason we're hosting it today is because the Navy changed their rules. But before we get into all that, I want to just read our disclaimer. In partnership with USA EBN, Zeta Talk and the Zeta Report will be discussing the challenges of living on a planet beset with change, rising seas, increasing earthquakes and volcanic activity, weather gone wild, and the worry of what to do in a worst-case scenario. We will also inject Zeta Talk prophecy on what is coming next and advice on readiness plans and safe locations. Whenever Zeta Talk is quoted, please remember that prophecy is not fact. It is opinion. It only becomes fact when it happens. The Zetas are remarkably accurate but have been wrong on occasion. Bear that in mind. For more information on this subject, please visit zetatalk.com or the Zeta Report on YouTube. The Navy recently changed their rules on UFO sightings. Unidentified objects will now be called unexplained aerial phenomenon. This new rule change evades all the prior rules about reporting UFOs, which resulted in pilots being declared crazy. Will this expedite disclosure? UFOs can now be written into the official record and ultimately accessed by the public. Quoting space.com, during a military mission, whether in peace or in war, if a pilot or soldier can't identify an object, they have a serious problem. How should they react without knowing it is neutral, friendly, or threatening? Situational awareness is the military term for having complete understanding of the environment in which you are operating, end quote. So that's the reason for the rule change, the official reason. But it seems to me we're having a creeping disclosure admission here. Many other countries have unabashedly opened their official UFO files. France, the UK, and Ireland in 2007. Canada, Russia, and Brazil in 2009. New Zealand in 2010, and then the U.S., NSA, and FBI released their files in 2011. But it was basically Project Blue Book, denials, and Roswell lies. The public is hungry for the truth. Quoting Discovery.com in 2007. French UFO fever crashes website. So many people have already tried to look at the files that it had become impossible to access the site. France is the first country to open up fully its UFO files to the public. The French will be able to access some 10,000 documents about UFOs, including photographs, police reports, and videos sent in by witnesses. End of the quote. Project Blue Book was operational for a time, 1952 to 1969, during the long history of the cover-up over the alien presence. Its goal was to debunk any and all sightings that the public might document or claim. The excuse for any actual UFO sightings were laughable. Swamp gas, satellites or airplane lights, mass hysteria, or a hoax, explainable in non-alien terms. Examples are a flock of birds or a rectilinear cloud. But the evidence is overwhelming, not only about lights in the skies, UFOs, but alien bodies, too. Taking this chronologically, outside of the statements in the Vedas or the Bible and other ancient texts, we have Roswell in 1947, Roswell was the start of a gigantic cover-up. Deathbed confession and endless rumors kept it alive. Quoting the Daily Mail, the headlines screamed, "Flying disc captured by Air Force." Yet, just 24 hours later, the military changed their story and claimed the object they first thought was a flying disc was a weather balloon that had crashed on a nearby ranch. End of the quote. The story of Travis Walton in Arizona in 1975 and the Billy Meier stories that emerged in the 1970s were both true stories and hit the media and inspired Hollywood films. In the opinion of the Zetas, the Walton story was twisted to make it seem a horror, and Billy Meier became addicted to fame, so began to invent his stories later in life. A plethora of Hollywood films about aliens, good-hearted or bad-intentioned, have followed. The Rendlesham Forest incident in Suffolk, England in December 1980 was another true event, with dozens of U.S. Air Force personnel eyewitness to the event. In the opinion of the Zetas, this event was staged by the aliens who wanted to expedite the awakening by encouraging the public to likewise tell their tales. This message was not lost on Bob Lazar, who went public with his experiences at Area 51 in 1989. He was employed by the military and had a paycheck stub to prove it. The cover-up over the alien presence retaliated by trying to discredit Bob with claims that he ran a brothel in Arizona. Bob reported that when the military tried to open the power source on an alien spaceship so the military could reverse engineer it, it exploded. The Zetas confirmed this story. Meanwhile, in 1989, a large robot-controlled critter roamed about, chatting telepathically with children in the Volgograd Park near Moscow. The children were curious, not afraid, and fascinated. They all drew pictures. Quoting the New York Times in 1989, residents of the city of Voronezh insisted today that lanky, three-eyed extraterrestrial creatures had indeed landed in a park and gone for a stroll, and that a seemingly fantastic report about the event carried by the official press agency TASS was absolutely true. End of the quote. In 1991, a spaceship crashed in the mountains of Shaitan Mazar in Russia. This was documented not only by the Russian military, who had chased the faltering ship with their jets, but also by scientists who repeatedly approached the crash site. Quoting UFO Casebook, the electromagnetic field of the UFO was so intense that all compass needles were drawn directly to the object, while other types of measuring instruments simply went dead. Some of the crew members received radiation burns at a distance of 800 meters. Videotape was also ruined. Plans were already underway for a triumphant third journey to the crash site. They did make the site, but the UFO was gone. End of the quote. During the 1991 eclipse, visible from Mexico City, thousands were present with video cams to record the eclipse and recorded a UFO. This was undeniable, with video footage from numerous sources, private individuals, but still the swamp gas derision continued. Then in 1997, the Phoenix Lights in Arizona occurred, likewise seen by thousands and recorded on film by numerous individuals. The establishment offered their usual ridiculous excuses, but the most obvious evidence that the alien presence is real for the Zetas was the media suppression. Major media like USA Today awaited 3 months in step with one another before presenting the story. Why the wait, asked the Zetas, unless they had to get permission to publish. But where winking lights in the sky are impressive, there is nothing like contact with the little beings themselves to make a big impression. When the encounter involves children not inclined to lie, it is all the more impressive. In 1994 in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, 62 school children encountered aliens that landed their ship in the schoolyard. They drew pictures. Dr. John Mack, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard University and a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, interviewed the kids. Dr. Mack was later run down in the road. In the opinion of the Zetas, this was an assassination. Quoting Zeta Talk, John Mack was run down, killed deliberately during the death throes of the CIA arm, wanting to deny the alien presence. This arm preferred the negative tone that Bud Hopkins presents, rather than the warm tone that Dr. Mack presented in his books. End of the quote. Children were also central to the 1996 Brazilian Roswell crash in Varginha, Brazil. They drew pictures of the little survivors they encountered in the woods, and all this hit the press. Quoting UFO Casebook, the entity was seemingly in a dazed condition and was easily captured by the search party. 3 protrusions stood atop its head, which glowed with red eyes. It also had long arms, short legs, and big feet. The monster sounded off with a buzz as it was taken into a net, approximately 2.5 hours after the first call was received. Later that very day, 3 girls, Lilian Fatima, Vaquera Fatiman, and Dreda Xavier, were walking home after work. Taking a shortcut through a wooded area, they stumbled upon another one of these strange alien creatures. When questioned by the press, military and fire department members denied any knowledge of a captured alien. This response does not come as a surprise. There were reports of an unusual amount of troop movement on the day, indicating a cover-up. End of the quote. Then there are the skulls, clearly not human or of any Earth ape. Perhaps the most famous is the StarChild skull, documented by Loy Pei in 1999. He sought to get DNA analysis done but was blocked at every turn and died before a thorough analysis could be done. But the skulls are clearly not human. Quoting the StarChild Project, the StarChild exhibits both physical and genetic differences that distinguish it from a typical human skull. The StarChild's zygomatic arches, cheekbones, are broken off, but from the small fragments that remain, it is clear that the space between the cheekbone and the other bones of the face is much smaller than it would be in a normal human. This is significant because the chewing muscles for the lower jaw pass through this space, and so must have been much smaller than in normal humans. The StarChild's neck muscles attach in a way that indicates it was a very small neck relative to typical humans, no more than half of normal size. Human neck muscles normally attach at an elevated point near the rear center of the occipital bone, the rear bone of the skull. That elevated point is called the extreme occipital protuberance, or inion for short. In humans, and indeed all primates on Earth, have an inion. The StarChild skull does not. End of the quote. The elongated skulls from Cosco, Peru, discovered in 2011, are not the rounded StarChild skull. To be sure, not all elongated skulls are alien skulls, as humans have been known to bind the heads of their babies to copy the shape. But skulls from Cosco were deemed to be non-human. Quoting notices from Peru, announced the discovery of a mummy with no human characteristics. The body is 50 inches tall, triangular head, eye cavity too large, open fontanelle, which is only characteristic of children up to 1 year, and has molars which show that there is a tremendous gap that is not common in humans. Spanish and Russian doctors have come, and we have confirmed that this is indeed an extraterrestrial. It also has the front split skulls, and that does not exist in any ethnic group in the world, and only found in the Andes of Peru. Like the Inca bone, is a triangle on the occipital and exists only in the Andes of Peru. End of the quote. In other words, they're saying these skulls were uniquely alien and not human. In 2014, DNA tests were done on a large cache of elongated skulls from the desert in Paracas on the south coast of Peru. More than 300 were discovered in 1928 and are estimated to be 3,000 years old. Quoting Art the System, it had mitochondrial DNA with mutations unknown in any human, primate, or animal. We are dealing with a new human-like creature, very distant from Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans. End of the quote. Through the winking lights in the sky and the drawings done by kids and the old dry bones, don't we have some photos? Well, yes, indeed we do. In 2008, a famous episode filmed in Turkey, a highly Muslim and thus highly skeptical country. There were hours of footage and prestigious researchers present. Quoting the report, almost 2.5 hours of footage was filmed featuring a variety of objects ranging from incredible flying saucer-type craft to clustering orb-like lights hovering in the night sky. The clips were handed to the Sirius UFO Space Science Research Center in Turkey, who interviewed witnesses and painstakingly combed through the footage frame by frame. International UFO researcher Hatan Adrodon said, in this amazing video footage, physical forms of UFOs and their metallic structures are clearly noticeable. What is more important is that in the close-up of some footage, entities in them can be directly made out. We have spoken with all of the witnesses and had identified analysis conducted on all 2.5 hours of footage. After conducting all of the analysis, we came to the conclusion that this video footage is 100% genuine. It has earned the seal of approval from British experts. End of the quote. Why the Triad, in the opinion of the Zetas, this is needed among alien visitors to break a tie. Quoting Zeta Talk. The craft was piloted by 3 aliens, 2 of which can be seen in the cockpit. As we have noted, the visitors often operate in a team of 3, a triad, so disagreements can be quickly settled. End of the quote. We have also filmed from the ISS itself, International Space Station. On October 7th, 2014, a cigar-shaped UFO was captured in an ISS live feed recording a repair mission by one of the astronauts. Unmistakable. Quoting the Daily Mail, one possible explanation for the UFO is it could be from one of 2 resupply craft that visited the ISS. However, both the craft are currently docked with the ISS, and the UFO in the video appears not to be attached to the ISS at all. A more likely explanation than a craft piloted by beings from another planet observing human astronauts is lens flare. Light could easily have bounced off the ISS and refracted onto the camera, but observers have pointed out that there doesn't seem to be a strong source of light near to the astronauts when the UFO is seen. This may rule out lens flare and keeps the object confirmed as a genuine UFO. End of the quote. Shock, it just keeps compiling. Enough with the lens flares and reflection. Let's just cut to the chase and move to film of real live aliens. In 2007, a home video showed the Nightwalkers caught on video as they strolled through a backyard and of legend among the American Indians. In the opinion of, and quoting the Zetas, their long legs facilitated travel on their native planet, which was awash in swamps. End of the quote. In 2011, the most stunningly realistic film was released by an MJ-12 agent. This showed EBE, the Roswell survivor. In the opinion of, and quoting Zeta Talk, The immediate reaction of all who watch the video is that this is real, even if objection is made by those in shock at the confirmation of the alien presence. Look behind any verbal sputtering to see the shock as it is there. Since it has been widely distributed on the Internet and widely discussed on more sites than one could count, the establishment has lots of data to digest. They will conclude that mankind is not reacting as was anticipated by the CIA many decades ago, when they concluded that the common man could not handle the reality of the alien presence. Curiosity, a desire to see more, even a desire to meet Skinny Bob has been expressed. More to follow. End of the quote from Zeta. Astonishing similarities exist between Skinny Bob's appearance and the drawings on the Zeta Talk website done by Nancy and her son. The Zeta Talk face was done on a CAD program by her son, showing the high cheekbones and small, smiling mouth. Nancy's drawings also show long fingers, a long, thin neck, and a tiny vertical nose. Then in 2014, a plethora of photos showed what appeared to be the same frail little big-eyed alien popping up around the world, from the UK to Mexico and down to Argentina. In all of these cases, the photographer did not notice the alien until the film was developed and inspected. Quoting, and in the opinion of the Zetas, this alien group has volunteered to be the ambassadors during conscious contact sightings, as they are slight, non-muscular, non-threatening, and have disproportionately large eyes, so have an infant-like facial structure. End of the quote. This little guy looks remarkably similar to an Egyptian artifact discovered in 2014 in the home of Sir William Petrie. Sir William had assumed they would be discredited and destroyed by the cover-up over the alien presence, so hid them in a wall in his home. Live and up-close footage of a little blue alien in Peru at a popular gas station were captured in August 2016. Multiple witnesses, multiple video cams running, and the little guy was switching in and out of densities to escape being hit by a truck and floating at times. Quoting Coast to Coast, the remarkable footage from late last month shows some kind of object or entity seemingly wandering away from the side of a nearby building and begin to creep toward the gas station. At random points, the thing appears to either glow or reflect the many lights illuminating the area. When one of the workers at the gas station sees the anomaly, it quickly departs from the area in a manner that suggests some kind of sentience, as opposed to simply being blown away like a balloon. Perhaps the most perplexing in a second video, the extremely dark footage, the entity looks extremely shiny and very balloon-like before it somehow manages to survive an encounter with a massive truck on the highway to which it tried to escape. 3 gas station employees and a policeman witnessed this. Fortunately, the scene of the incident allowed for additional perspectives, as the gas station was equipped with 4 security cameras, and one worker filmed the affair with his cell phone. End of that long quote. In other words, very real, very witnessed, multiple videos, and he's such a cute little guy, and he density switches and in and out of densities and can float, which we know aliens can do, float away. They control gravity. It was fascinating. Okay. So what's left? The public is used to the idea of spaceships with gravity control, aliens that can float and density shift, and that they can come in colors. But they are always hominoid, right? Wrong. Next lesson, they can look hominoid but be reptilian, as in the snake people found mummified in the ever-popular Peru. The Gaia site began publishing their amazing documentaries on June 23, 2017. Scientists from Russia, China, the U.S., and elsewhere were in attendance. The anatomical analysis, X-rays, and DNA extractions were carefully detailed. The credentials of the team were impeccable. The mummies were covered in a white dust, later explained as silicon, used in the present day by mankind to dehydrate foods and medicines. This was quickly followed on Gaia by a dramatic detailing of the autopsy of a couple, standing upright rather than in a seated position. What was dramatic and explosive about this discovery was that the apparently hominoid bodies contained eggs and showed no evidence of being able to chew. These were reptilian. From the start of the Zeta Talk saga, the Zetas had explained that service to other souls emerged from reptilian planets just as readily as they do from planets where the dominant species is warm-blooded. For the Zetas, the Earth in its past also had an intelligent reptilian species, a type of raptor in the Ural Mountains. The Peruvian snake man does indeed show many of the anatomical features of snakes. Just as the base creature for man during genetic engineering was various apes, the base creature for snake man was apparently the snake. As is known, snakes can develop arms and legs sharing many genetics with lizards and other reptilians. Lest one think these reptilian snake men were cold-hearted, the mummies include an infant who likely died in the same health problems afflicting its parents. Is disclosure imminent? Trump is enigmatic. He says he doesn't particularly believe they are unidentified, that they are pretty much been identified, and also people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly. But is he really saying that they are not unidentified, as the U.S. government knows the alien presence is real? Chatting with them all the time. Per the New York Daily News, Trump has said the public will be the first to know when he finds out, so the cover-up lives on. So one can see that we have a long way to go from a mere change in the Navy rules covering unexplained aerial phenomena to a full-blown admission that aliens are here, are among us, and have been for a long time, and are chatting with us all the time. But the media discussion on UFOs and the alien presence has picked up. Wait, what's this? We have almost 2 million people going to charge Area 51, demanding to know the truth. Never mind the barbed wire. Never mind the signs that, this is a military establishment and invaders will be shot on sight, or whatever the heck that sign says. What will happen, in the opinion of the Zetas? All alien material has been removed from Area 51, so they would likely only find empty buildings. But, and quoting Zero Hedge, entitled Storm Area 51, they can't stop all of us. It also prompted the Air Force to issue a warning to stay well away from the facility. And you guess what this is going to do? I predict a lot of tear gas. What do you think, Andre?
Well, the Area 50, storming the Area 51 thing, I think, honestly, I don't know how many people are actually going to do it.
I doubt it's going to be 2 million.
First of all, no.
Yeah.
And I agree with the Zetas and Zeta Talk on that. That a lot of that facility has been scrubbed over the years, if not the past 20 years, definitely the past 3 or 4, where a lot of those underground and secret facilities have been 30, 40, 50 years running. They just move it to a different facility or whatever. But originally, the storming the Area 51 was a Facebook event created by. I saw an interview with the person that actually created the page, and he did it kind of as a joke. This I don't know, some kid from Seattle, I don't know, 25 years old or something. But he's interviewed by the local press. I don't know if people are actually going to go. He says, well, I think the U.S. military and the Air Force will have something to say about that. But I think that it does help, though, Nancy, that it helps with the collective consciousness actually talking about it. It gets it in the
Yeah.
Normal conversation, water cooler, coffee break kind of thing. Hey, you're gonna go?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about this storm, the Area 51 thing? And then, if somebody like me or you are around in that conversation, it's like, well, maybe the aliens are real and it's not really there, but maybe you should do some more research on the internet while you can. YouTube's getting kind of. YouTube is tough. It's a Google company, and we can talk about censorship offline, but they're really making sure everybody stays in their lane on their channels. And I know you've had some issues over the years with censorship and deletions and
Lord, yes.
web DDS attacks and fun stuff like that. And but researching on YouTube is not what it used to be, is what I'm saying. And it's hard to find stuff. The algorithms and the search algorithms are tough, and they're I think that's going to change too. I think some of these companies, the social media companies that are large as they are, like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, that are clamping down on information, whether it be about disclosure or the other things going on in the news that we're going to talk about today. But the disclosure thing, the Phoenix Lights, it was 3 months before that actually got published.
Yeah, this was amazing, and it's well documented on my website. It was several articles, USA Today and this and that, and they didn't say a word about it, and all of a sudden, boom, it was in the press. Oh, Phoenix Lights, and oh, look, and people saw this, and well, why did they wait 3 months? And more than they were in concert, like holding hands, and okay, let's all jump together. Clearly, they had to wait for the memo to come so they could do it. There's so much evidence of the cover-up, and then NASA is always being accused of the ISS. That look at that, and the live feed to the ISS goes out. They time it just so. So this has been a constant. There's so much evidence, that of the cover-up. That. So the question is why? Why are we covering it up? Well. The story goes that the CIA was sure that the American public could not handle the truth. The movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where these people are meeting the aliens up on some rock structure over there in the west, but they don't want the general public there, even if they were invited to come, by the aliens, and it's like they know, but the public can't know because they can't handle it. What? Well, the CIA can handle it, so why can't the general public handle it? It's very control freak-ish. So that movie is very accurate on that point. So. That in 2008, the Zetas were asked, how many contactees are there? And they said about 12,000, right? People that are being picked up and chatting with the aliens and have given what the Zetas call the call, where they wish to speak to aliens. They don't necessarily have to sit down and say, I wish to speak with aliens. They don't have to express it verbally, etc., but it's a curiosity, a desire
feeling,
to know,
or
that kind of thing.
Intention. Yeah.
Yeah, that type of thing. And that number grew, and by 2015 it was half the populace, 3.5 billion, and now it's well above that, so 4 billion and rising. So we're talking about practically everybody on Earth has had contact with the aliens. And meanwhile, I don't know if they can handle it, huh? But what the truth is, per the Zetas, and what anybody in the establishment is willing to admit are two different things, because maybe those guys aren't really contactees. Maybe they're scaredy cats and they don't want contact with aliens. So how would they know? So it depends on who.
Well,
who
and then sometimes too. Sometimes it might not be the government per se, but the church.
That's
what happens
one.
What happens with disclosure and faith?
Yep.
That's a tough one. And I've had that discussion with people. And it's tough to say. Well, if there are extraterrestrial beings from outside this planet, and they quite possibly could have seeded our DNA at some point, or been, I'm just throwing it out there that there could have been some manipulation of humans at some point during the process over millions of years. But, my opinion, when people think about the presence and God, it doesn't compute for them. Like, how can there be a God and other, more advanced species, perhaps, or many types of advanced species? My argument back to them would be, aren't we just a bigger family now?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what it is? We're just a big family, and
right.
the family is much larger, and that's kind of, maybe Uncle Ted is not the ugliest person.
Right. Well, and it's arrogance. It's arrogance to say that we're the only intelligent species. We have to be special. It's like the baby who discovers that mommy and daddy are going to have another child. What? I won't be the only one? Oh no. So it's arrogance. But wasn't it this Pope, the current Pope, who was challenged? Would you baptize an alien? In other words, if they would land, would you help them find Christ? Right? Well, according to the Zetas, Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha, they were star children that came down to teach mankind a message of love, helping others, that type of thing, and this is not to say that God is a man with a long white beard up there in the sky, and to say that the message that Jesus and Muhammad and Buddha delivered is the message that has to resound through the universe. Well, what would a jellyfish creature, are they going to flip through the Bible? Come on, so he was challenged with would he baptize them, the little man from Mars, and his statement, as I recall, was that he would baptize them. In other words, I wouldn't discriminate against little green men from Mars. That was his basic nuance, I think. So, but because of the control that organized religion has, as in, come to church and give us your money, or you will be burned in hell because we have the power to send you there, which is Zeta say no, they don't. They don't have that power at all. So that it's taken away. And the establishment, military and political establishment, et cetera, strutting around, I'm the most powerful person on earth, or whatever the heck, and they fear, if you're so powerful, then how come you can't zip around like those little UFOs? They disappear in a wink. They go into another density. They have control of gravity, obviously, right? And how come you can't do that? I guess you're not so powerful. A lot of big egos among mankind, the establishment. And they don't like that competition. They don't like that comparison. So it's not a problem with the common man. Go ahead.
Part of cover-up is covering up what we have, our technology that, Bob Lazar, whether you believe his story or not, it's pretty compelling, but we have a lot of that technology. We have reverse gravitics. We have, the torsion or the torus field free energy technology, and so as that has been asked, I'm sure before, but can you generalize kind of how to tell the difference? Obviously, the triangle aircraft, the TR-3B, and the supersonic stuff that the Aurora and those have been explained as government advanced tech. The stealth fighter knew about that in the 90s before it came out. They had, as a kid, when they come out with the plastic model kit of the actual plane before the government admits that they have it, that's kind of the stealth fighter came out as a model kit before it was released to the public, but whatever.
Oh my.
How many of the sightings do you think, in your opinion, or if you heard, are ours or theirs? When the POTUS says, identified or not identified, I think he's hinting at that we know what they are, but some of them are ours, right? I mean, some of these not necessarily the saucer type aircraft, but the triangle, black triangle, and some of the cigar ones. And believe what you want about the Space Force. I think they already have a Space Force, but yeah. It's
Yeah,
just not
I don't think
disclosed yet.
the cigar shaped are not man-made because man requires propulsion.
Those are big.
If you can't
too.
puff
Those
out the rear, you can't stay high. You know, the whole thing of the airflow over the wings, etc. Now the triangles clearly are stealth airplanes, but the cigar shapes just hover up there and they have no propulsion. You know, there's no evidence of air turbulence. There's nothing coming out the back. You know, and so that's alien. You know, but they brag. The Zetas have gone on about that, about how claimants will say, "That's ours. Yeah, we got those alien ships. We figured out that anti-gravity. Yeah, yeah." No, they don't. They're braggarts, and it's because we're not all that mature. Earth is a playpen, for young souls, according to the Zetas, and we have a lot of immaturity. So all of that is a sign of an immature soul. So you have to take it with a grain of salt, and if it doesn't seem rational, then if they can do anti-gravity, then let's see it. The only anti-gravity that man has been able to achieve is from the little backs of beetles, a type of beetle in Russia. There was a guy over there who discovered that if he had these beetles and he took the top wing, that folded over its top, in other words, its little dome, and tacked that onto a board and turned and flipped it so that was facing down, he could stand on that board and lift 3 inches off the ground. And he has that on video, and and I did a newsletter feature on that too. There's some quality, and apparently the board that he used, it went to some museum, and it quickly disappeared because the elite stole it so that they could examine it. But you can't capture a bunch of beetles and get them to lift a cigar-shaped ship off the ground. Aliens have, and it's not just their ships. When you get on their ships, you are in fact, they center gravity on the ship. They can be upside down. You're not upside down. They can be sideways. You're not tipping sideways. They control the gravity inside the ship. And then on top of that, the aliens themselves. I have had my hands held by a Zeta, and up we went, up into the air, and he says, don't be afraid, don't look down, you're with me. They can themselves float, as the little blue alien from Peru showed on video. They could, what that is, we don't know, but we don't have it, that's for sure, So anti-gravity, a lot of good stuff awaiting when we go through the transformation and we have a lot more contact with aliens. Life is going to get more interesting, more fun.
Right. Well, and then, the people that listen to this show and us and a lot of the contactees out there that are coming to terms with what's actually going on will be able to help the people that are freaking out.
They're
going to kill us all. They're going to kill us all.
Yeah, that was the CIA.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, the CIA wanted us to stay away from aliens. Look at the Hollywood movies. Oh my God, they're going to mass land and suck our brains out and eat us, and the pod creatures and the invasion is always some horrible. But you got to ask if they want to do this and they can do this, then what are they waiting for? Why? Because there are rules. The rules are that they cannot do this. There's a small percentage of aliens that would love to be dictatorial, just like we have humans that love to be dictatorial, and they're not allowed anything. All they can do is murmur things in your ear, like the little devil on one shoulder with a little angel on another.
Yeah, be careful who you talk to in your sleep.
Right.
Okay?
That's right. Yeah. What you wish for,
Pick your friends.
Yeah, exactly. So that the good guys, benevolent, are the ones that are allowed to make UFO displays. They are the ones that are given access